Hey everybody, we've made it. We are now where we need to be. 1948. Abram was born, as well as his brother Nahor and Haran. And what happened in 1948? We'll be discussing that soon and how it relates into tying this whole series together and the power of a name. And honestly, I really think that you're going to enjoy hearing what I have to say on this one because, this video truly connects the dates and genealogy and definitions of the names written in Genesis 5 all the way through Genesis 11. Shem's history. Abraham, he comes in direct descendant of Shem, who is also a direct descendant of Adam. It's all tied together. Everything is in the line of Adam. And all of it goes from Abram, you go all the way to Jesus. So it is all there. So let's look at the definition for each of the names of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Exalted father, high father, father of a multitude is Abram. Snorting, snoring, breathing hard, hoarse, dry, hot, enraged, lightning, Nahor. Haran, mountaineer, parched, road. The events we're going to discuss. 1948. Israel is re-established as a nation. This is what ties everything together. What happened in 1948 in the beginning was Abraham would be born. The one who's known as the exalted father, high father, the father of a multitude. I can't express how important this is. The fact that on the date that Abram, the person who was promised this multitude to begin with, the one who the original promise with God lies, is also the exact same year in current history that Israel is reestablished as a nation. It is direct correlation right from the start. You cannot get more perfect of a correlation to tie current history to the Bible by way of names and dates in their genealogy. It's prophecy. It's direct prophecy that proves the Word of God to be true. Direct. You can't get any more direct. But if that's not enough, we're also going to be discussing in this video Edsel Ford, Babe Ruth and his death, the original circuit, road racing, the Black Lightning motorcycle. If you remember me saying lightning, January 30th, 1948, the Nehru radio, I guess that's how it's said. So let's go ahead and jump right in, because this is something. It really is. The Israeli Declaration of Independence, formerly the Declaration of the Establishment of the State of Israel, was proclaimed May 14th, 1948. by David Ben-Gurion, the executive head of the World Zionist Organization and the chairman of the Jewish Agency for Palestine. It declared the establishment of a Jewish state in Eretz Israel to be known as the State of Israel, which would come into effect on termination of the British Mandate at midnight that day. So right after the British Mandate, which we discussed in our last video, the Jewish nation is established. Makes you think that Daniel 11 is in direct correlation with this name prophecy as well, because they come right after each other. In fact, the ending of the British Mandate is caused by 1948's establishing of Israel as a nation. It's telling us that the events from Daniel 11 verse 20 in verse 21 is when our current history, everything from Daniel 21 on, started in 1948 when Israel was reestablished as a nation. The Bible also says in Daniel 9 that there will be 70 weeks, which can be referred to as 70 years. Before everything all goes to kaput. Be kaput. "70 years from 1948 would be 2018. But it also says that on the 69th year is when some major stuff was going to go down in Daniel chapter 9. So, think about that. Well, 69th week, not 69th year. I'm making the assumption that in this particular case, the 70 weeks are years. It's an assumption. I'm not proclaiming to be absolutely correct. I'm not. Because I could be wrong. But there's more evidence to support this than there is many other theories. So, bear with me. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. You don't have to. I'm not telling you that what I'm saying is 100% perfect interpretation. I'm just giving you an interpretation. That's not saying I'm giving you 100% fact. Something to think about. That's what these videos are about. So, prophecy is fulfilled and the establishing of the Israel as a nation. The event is celebrated annually in Israel with a national holiday, Yom HaTzmaut, literally Independence Day, on the 5th of ER of every year, according to the Hebrew calendar. So, Chief Rabbi Shlomo Goren the newly liberated Western Wall in 1967. A look through history makes it clear if it were not for God's incredible miracles, the state of Israel would have never gotten off its feet, nor would it have survived to this day. God promised us in the Torah, Leviticus 26:8, "And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 10,000, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword." This is precisely what happened in every single war that Israel has participated in. In 1948, Israel tragically suffered 6,000 casualties, while the Arabs suffered over 20,000. In 1967, Israel suffered as many as 983, but the Arabs over 24,000. In 1973, Israel was surprise attacked on Yom Kippur, completely unprepared for battle, faced with an invasion that had over 1 million troops from literally all over the world, including nearly 4,000 from Cuba. In comparison, Israel had maybe 400,000 reservists included. The highest estimates placed 2,800 Israel casualties, yet once more 20,000 among the instigators. In one famous story from this war, 150 Syrian tanks went up against 3 Israeli tanks, left with no ammo in the Golan Heights. The Syrians suddenly retreated in a panic, possibly thinking it was an ambush. One Syrian soldier would later claim that they were swarmed by an army of angels. Think about it. It isn't just in military victories that God has clearly blessed the state. In under 70 years, Israel has flourished and is among the most developed and prosperous countries in the world. Isaiah prophesied in chapter 35 of Isaiah, verses 1 through 2. "The wilderness and the parched land shall be glad, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice. They shall see the glory of Hashem, the excellency of our God. Indeed, Israel and its parched lands have blossomed abundantly. It is now self-sufficient in its food production, meaning no one will starve if Israel stops all imports of food and exports over 1.3 billion in food every year. Israel exports a great deal of innovation and technology too, and is a global leader in science. Its high-tech sector, appropriately nicknamed Silicon Wadi, is second only to Silicon Valley. Despite its short existence, Israel ranks 12th in per capita Nobel Prizes, higher than Canada, Germany, and the U.S. There are nearly 400 million Arabs across 22 countries, and together they have 6 Nobel Prizes, while 6 million Jews in Israel have won 12. There is no doubt that Israel, with God's blessing, has lived up to the biblical idea of being a light unto nations, and to the nations. Isaiah 42:6. Harry Ayres, Ayres, along with Mick Sullivan, led Hillary and Ruth Adams up the south ridge of Aoraki Mount Cook, New Zealand's highest peak, on the 30th of January 1948. Mountaineer? On the ridge, the road. trying to think. I've been so busy reading, I forgot to go through each of the definitions. I went through the light, but I failed to remind myself to talk about enraged, the dry, hot, all of this. So, well, I did talk about the enraged because there was each of the wars where Israel had to basically defend itself immediately. And even right after the independence was declared, the Israel had to defend itself against everybody coming from all sides on it, and still winning. Then I'm not going to discuss the snoring and breathing hard yet. I'm going to continue reading to see if I can find something. So, Edsel Ford, 1928 to 1970. Ford attended public school in Rogers, Benton County, and he served as editor of the school paper, The Mountaineer. Interesting. Before graduating in 1948. Ford enrolled as a journalism major at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville in the fall of that same year. History makes it clear that the establishment and survival of the state of Israel is nothing short of a divine miracle and would not happen were it not for God's support. Indeed, before Moses passed away, he sang his final song to the people and told them, "Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations." Deuteronomy 32:7. Consider the historical facts. Does history not make it so plainly obvious? How could one chase away 1,000 if not for Hashem who delivers them up? Deuteronomy 32:30. Is it logical that 3 tanks can scare off 150? That 1,000,000 invaders can be subdued by thousands? Is it not obvious that God is orchestrating it? This is from this Mountaineer paper. God is mentioned. Exalted Father, High Father, Father of a multitude. You could say that they woke up a sleeping giant, the snoring, snorting, breathing hard, hoarse, dry, hot. That the nation became very productive in food source and whatnot, although it was originally like a desert. August 16th, 1948. This is the day Babe Ruth dies. The Sultan of Swat died due to nasopharyngeal cancer, often mistakenly said to have been throat cancer. Hoarse, breathing hard, snorting, snoring. Direct correlation there. George Herman Babe Ruth was one of the most popular and beloved baseball players of all time. Ruth played 22 years in the major leagues, hitting 714 home runs, accumulating a mind-boggling 177 WAR, winning 7 World Series, and becoming baseball's greatest legend. War could kind of be associated with enraged, but I won't in this situation. AD. Guess who Gartner cites as a leader in data solutions? Sponsored by Revenue.com. Microsoft. But now it was 1936. The babe was 41 years old and was a retired man. He wasn't dead, but he was an inhabitant of that strange twilight for athletes, the twilight for men who had accomplished all they can early in life and will accomplish no more at what they were best at. I don't think I really need to read more. I think I pretty much got what I needed out of the point of his death with the snorting and all that. Ruth made his final appearance at Yankee Stadium on June 26, 1948. His old number 3 uniform. That's interesting. Number 3. It's a holy number. Hung limply on his body, a skeleton by now, ravaged by cancer. Ruth croaked out a hoarse, raspy, dry speech of gratitude to the packed house and shuffled off. A crowd of 58,339 gave him a standing ovation. He spent his last days in the hospital. During his time there, he received the relatively new treatment of chemotherapy. Radiation has a light source. It's hot. Nah, I'm not going to go there. And various other experimental treatments with some success, even at one point having his headaches go away and gaining about 20 pounds before the cancer came back. Gifts and mail flooded in from all quarters. Toward the end, Ruth pinned a medal he received in the mail on his pajamas. When famed manager Connie Mack came in to visit him, Ruth told him, "The termites have got me, Mr. Mack." One nebulous but interesting hospital visitor was a tall, striking redhead named Loretta. She claimed she had been Ruth's girlfriend for the previous 10 years. Knowing the babe, she was probably telling the truth. And then August 16th, 1948, he dies. The original circuit, 1948 to 1952, self-guided tour. American road racing was revived at Watkins Glen, New York, on October 2nd, 1948. The first road race. Run since before World War II. The 6.6-mile circuit ran through the village streets, starting and ending in front of the Schuyler County Courthouse. To close the public roads for the event, it was necessary to have permits from 6 governmental entities: the state, county, village, town of Reading, town of Dix, and the New York State Parks Commission. It was also necessary to have a permit from the New York Central Railroad to stop the trains during the race as the course crossed the tracks. The circuit was used for races from 1948 to 1952. Unchanged, it may be toured today as public roads. For those who were here in the early days, it is a sentimental journey. For those who have been here, it is a lesson in motor racing history. The Black Lightning was a Vincent HRD motorcycle first built in September 1948 at the Vincent Works in Great North Road, Stevenage, Hertfordshire, UK, and produced from 1948 to 52. At the time, the Black Lightning was the fastest production motorcycle in the world. Lightning. Nahu Radio, friends and comrades, the light has gone out of our lives, and there is darkness everywhere. I do not know what to tell you and how to say it. Our beloved leader, Bapu, as we called him, father of the nation, is no more. Perhaps I am wrong to say that. Nevertheless, we will never see him again as we have seen him for these many years. We will not run to him for advice and seek solace from him, and that is a terrible blow. I remember blow. Huh. Snoring, I guess. I remember blow from the last video. I think that's what it was. Any advice that I or anyone else can give. The light has gone out, I said, and yet I was wrong, for the light that shone in this country was no ordinary light. The light that has illumined this country for these many years will illumine this country for many more years. And 1,000 years later, that light will be seen in this country, and the world will see it, and it will give solace to innumerable hearts. For that light represented something more than the immediate past. It represented the living, the eternal truths, reminding us of the right path, drawing us from error, taking this ancient country to freedom. All this has happened when there was so much for him to do. We could never think that he was unnecessary or that he had done his task. But now, particularly when we are faced with so many difficulties, his not being with us is a blow most terrible to bear. A madman has put an end to his life, for I can only call him mad who did it. And yet there has been enough of poison spread in this country during the past years and months, and this poison has had an effect on people's minds. We must face this poison. We must root out this poison, and we must face all the perils that encompass us, and face them not madly or badly, but rather in the way that our beloved teacher taught us to face them. I think you get the point. Not in madness, meaning not in rage. So, do you see? All of this directly tied to the power of a name. Israel became a nation on the exact date that Abram was born. Exact date. I cannot express enough that this is not coincidental. But don't take my word for it. You will see. We are in the end times now. We will be seeing that rapture happen soon. And when it comes, you will not be able to be taken with us when those who are lifted up or taken. You will not be able to skip out on the punishment that God has provided for you if you do not turn from your sins beforehand. Those who are left behind for a reason. It does not say that you will not get the chance to turn to Him even during those times, because it says even until the end that there will be God's ministry happening, people coming to know the Lord, all the way until the very end. Yet there will still be people to refuse. And if you don't believe me that it says that, go to Daniel chapter 12. Well, even 11. Let's go to the end of chapter 11, and I'm going to show you. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword, and by the flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help. But many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. It says right here, even until the time of the end, people will try to make them white. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white. That does not mean skin color. That means pure. Even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. See here, the abomination of desolation has already been put in place. And if you remember in Matthew chapter 24, I'm turning to Matthew 24 right now. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, for as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. No flesh shall be saved, not even the elect. But the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Meaning, it will be short and sweet, and just get them out of there. They shall die, because all are going to die. But their days shall be short-lived. So if you think you can get out of this, you are sadly mistaken. Those of you who are praying for a country turnaround right now, it's not going to happen. God said, pray, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy will be done, not our will. God doesn't want these kingdoms to be established forever. He wants these kingdoms to fall. These kingdoms who go against His word, who establish laws that don't make sense into His word, that go against everything that He has commanded. Why would He send a leader other than His Son to try to bring us back to Him? No, 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 no. It is not going to work that way. They've already set it up to where no matter whom we elect this year, we're screwed. And if who's to say we even get a chance to elect somebody? We might be put into martial law, or we might be giving the Constitution a rewrite and let Obama run for another term, for his third term. We don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm telling you, no matter what happens, we are done. We are done. There is nothing left after this. You see everything happening right now. All the battles in the streets between citizens and police, brother and brother, sister and sister, mother against daughter, father against son. It's happening. The sword being brought against man, turning each other against each other. It's happening. I don't pray for peace like many others to be brought upon our nation, because I know that in order for peace to happen, there's only one way, and that's for Jesus to return. So I pray that God's will be done. I pray for Jesus' return to do away with this corrupt government system, to do away with these corrupt financial systems, to do away with all of this. That's what I pray for. And I'm very specific in what I pray for. And let me tell you this. God loves a specific prayer. Those who beat around the bush trying to spend hours on prayers, let me tell you this. That's not the kind of prayer God asked you to pray. He told you to be specific when you pray. Look at what happened in Genesis with the servant that was sent out to find Isaac's wife. He was very specific in his prayer. He told God, let this woman come out, offer me something to drink after I ask her, and my camels, offer them from their well water to every one of them. He was very specific. And if this woman does this, let me go meet the Father and do all that arrangement stuff. And if they say nay, then he'll return on his way unsuccessful. And if they say yea, then God has blessed his master, Abraham. Yeah. I'm not being 100% specific in my interpretation, but you're getting my point, I think. Those of you who ask for God to turn our nation around, the only way to turn our nation around is by fulfilling prophecy, bringing a rod into it. Spare the rod, spoil the child, right? He's about to discipline us. This is something you need to see. It's happening. I'm not going to pray for peace in our nation, because I'm ready for this nation to be shown God as reality, to be shown to all these atheists, to all these people denying that he exists. I'm ready for them to know. I'm tired of constantly being made fun of for them saying that what I say doesn't make sense, when it makes perfect sense, considering that where do we come from if not from God? I mean, historical evidence proves his existence. Historical comparisons, like I've been doing here, proves his existence. People try to make the Bible not make sense, but they can't do it. They try their hardest to deny anything that happened, like the flood, They try to say it didn't happen, but scientists prove otherwise. They prove that it is possible for a worldwide flood to have taken place. They prove that there are waters deep within inside the Earth's crust to be able to have blown out of proportion out of the waters of the earth in springs such as the geysers we have, and also for that amount of rain to completely cover all the land. It was possible. It's been proven possible by scientific studies. I'm tired of all the complaints towards people pretending to be followers of Christ, yet only bringing despise towards us and contempt because of the things that they do. If you're going to follow after Christ, do things the way Christ would have you do, in peace. Do not racial profile. Do not spread hate. God and Jesus say that the greatest commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself, and to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul. Two greatest commandments is to love. And by fulfilling these commandments, you fulfill all of the commandments. Think about that. While you see all these riots happening in the streets, I'm sorry, but I think that it's meant to happen. It's going to happen. And I think to myself, whenever I see these riots and everything going on, that the sword has been brought. It's happening. It's time. It's coming. I think to myself that I know I'm going to be seeing the Lord soon. It's fig season, and it tells us that not to leave the roof of our houses. Well, I don't remember what I said, but something like that. Whenever winter comes. Winter comes when the last figs drop from the tree. And whenever Yom Kippur is upon us and return of Christ happens. It also says in the Bible, if you continue reading in Matthew 24, that it does not necessarily say that we will all die, because it says that you will have two in the field. One will be taken while the other is continue to work. There. It says, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, and the goats on the left. Then shall the king... I'm sorry, and I'm in chapter 25. I meant to be in chapter 24. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one shall be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. So their days are made short, as it said. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. So to me it sounds like He's purposely going to shorten our days. He's going to take us up. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. I hope I've brought a point to you that you found interesting. I hope you don't take offense to what I've said, but I know some of you probably will. But it's coming. Time is not of the essence. It really isn't. We are now nearly at war with the world. Are you prepared? Have you made yourself ready for God's wedding, Jesus' wedding? Prepared yourself? Have you turned away from your sins? If not, you're running out of time. Something to think about. Have a good day.